Hello, welcome to Nursing with Professor B. My name is Bridget. I'm a family nurse practitioner. In today's video, I will be discussing relationship red flags. Now, keep in mind, I do understand that men can also be victims of relationship abuse, but it does happen disproportionately more to women. So if I use more terms in regards to him or he, keep in mind that these relationship red flags apply to females, males, non-gender conforming. It basically applies to everybody. So these relationship red flags apply to everybody. So abuse is more than just physical violence. Domestic violence is also called intimate partner violence. So if you see the term IPV, that's intimate partner violence. I've worked in psych, I teach psych, I love psych, psych is my passion. And unfortunately, a lot of times in mental health, we do see a lot of abuse. The thing about abusers is they don't start out, they don't introduce themselves like, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm an abuser, right? It never starts out that way. It starts out almost like a whirlwind romance. You think you met the perfect person and then you start to feel these little things in your gut that's telling you like, am I overreacting, or is this doesn't sit quite well with me? Pay attention to your gut. Pay attention to your intuition, okay? You are not crazy. Another important thing to note is that domestic violence does not discriminate. It can happen to any age, race, gender, socioeconomic status. Red flag number one is extreme jealousy. Let's say, for example, that your model of what a healthy relationship is toxic, and that's not healthy, right? You have a warped sense of what a relationship should look like. A lot of people confuse jealousy with love, and they'll say things like, oh, he must really love me and care about me because he gets so jealous. Jealousy is not a sign of love. Okay, it can be dangerous. So along the lines of the jealousy, if your partner is always accusing you of like, who was that? You were flirting with them. Or you've been spending so much time with your family. You don't spend any time with me. I was in a relationship and I started noticing these signs, right? And I will keep referring to this relationship because I feel like examples help you understand. So this person was very clingy, very needy. I was in my graduate program. I was studying in school, working, like I had a lot on my plate. I was working full time. I had a lot on my plate. And this person was always making me feel guilty for not spending a lot of time with them. They were not understanding. You feel like this pressure on you and you feel like you're letting that person down. That's a red flag. Extreme jealousy, always accusing you of who are you talking to? Who are you with? I had a boyfriend that for example, let's say that you say to someone good night and then Messenger isn't the most accurate. So even though I'm sleeping, the little Messenger light was still green. So then that person would get very upset. Like, you said you were going to bed. Who were you texting? And I was like, I'm literally sleeping. Like, keeping tabs on you to that extent. Someone who's very controlling, or one partner in the relationship makes all the decisions. A lot of times the person that is being abused ends up taking a more like dependent role or submissive role because they just want to avoid the conflict. One extreme example of controlling behavior is the partner checking the car odometer. I hope I'm saying that word right. Spanish is actually my first language, so I get a lot of hate sometimes, like I didn't say a word right or whatever, but English is my second language, so I hope I said odometer right. So if someone is checking the car's odometer before you leave and telling you like, okay, work is only 11 miles away, so you're at this many miles, but you better come back with only 11.1 mile on your car odometer. They may control finances. The abuser likes to almost put you in a metaphorical corner. If they can take away your friends, if they can take away your finances, like if they are the sole breadwinner, that is a huge amount of control that they have over you because they know you can't leave them because your only option would be homeless. Like you would just have to go out on the street. So that is a situation that could potentially set them up for IPV, the intimate partner violence. If they tell you how to dress, what to wear, what not to wear. I don't like that dress. That dress is too high up on you, or you're going to work looking like that. Wear something ugly, or like wear something that is less provocative. Those kinds of behaviors. If you're with someone, they should be secure enough that you can wear what you want to wear and they accept you for what you wear. If they met you like that, they should not be trying to change you. Now, this doesn't apply to everybody, but if it felt like a whirlwind romance, like, often abusers will start out very charming, romantic, intense. Think of Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, right? And think of how the whole village was in love with Gaston. Gaston was clearly very narcissistic, right? So they start out very charming, romantic. They're trying to pull you in, right? And that's what people that have never been experienced IPV or any kind of abuse, whether it's physical or verbal, psychological, they don't understand. Let me assure you, if you have been in an abusive relationship, you are not weak. Don't blame yourself, okay? And oftentimes, abusers will be drawn to very kind, compassionate people because you are a giver. Narcissists and narcissists can't coexist in a relationship because the narcissist needs someone to hype them up. So that being said, at first it may be like, they'll say things like, you're the only person I could ever love, or this is love at first sight. I've never met anyone like you. They'll make you feel like you're perfect. They'll put you up on this pedestal. It becomes this pressure, like you can't live up to that perfection. You can't. So if you're in a healthy relationship, that person should see your imperfections, but love you even with your imperfections. Another red flag is the isolation, right? They try to isolate you. They talk bad about your friends, so they try to isolate you from your friends. They talk bad about your family so that you won't see your family. We already talked about maybe controlling your finances. They may discourage you from going back to work or back to school, because if they can control everything, if you don't have a life outside of them, you can't leave them. Another red flag is gaslighting. And gaslighting is actually based on a movie. I could do another video on that, because if I start going on my little tangents with my ADHD, then I'll never come back. But it's actually based on a movie where a guy made his wife think she was crazy. Gaslighting is where they make you question your sanity, your memory, your perception of things. Like, oh, you're so sensitive. Oh, you're overreacting. That shouldn't have hurt your feelings. Victims of gaslighting often feel confused. They may feel anxious and unable to trust themselves. So examples of this is when, and I mean, I've been in that situation where like someone makes you feel crazy because you feel like in your gut, you know that they're cheating on you, but you're not sure. And they have like every excuse in the book, and they have an alibi and everything like that. And then you do find out they were cheating. And in that meantime, you were in this emotional turmoil because you thought, oh, I'm so paranoid. Oh my God, I'm just anxious. But turns out your intuition was right. Believe it or not, the abuser is also hypersensitive. Hypersensitive, they take every little criticism to heart, and they may demonstrate explosive anger. This is when the honeymoon phase has ended and you're starting to see the person behind the mask. Like if you say something like, oh, you didn't wash the dishes. Well, I mean, I couldn't wash the dishes because you did. I couldn't wash the dishes because somebody forgot to buy soap, or, any little thing, and they attack you. So they get offended very easily. They take comments as personal attacks, and they blow things out of proportion. Now, if this one is happening, they have signs of antisocial personality disorder. And antisocial does not mean what the public means as like, oh, I don't like people, I'm antisocial, haha. No, antisocial is like a disregard for rules, no remorse. So if you see this, it's a huge red flag. You should be very, very careful. I would advise you need to leave immediately. Is cruel to animals or children. And if they punish animals brutally, like if they kick their dog because the dog peed inside the house, and the punishment doesn't fit the crime, or if they tease children until they cry and they're insensitive to the pain of others, that is getting into the territory of antisocial personality disorder. So that's very dangerous, because these people, they have no remorse, no guilt, and they can do atrocious things because, again, they don't have any guilt. A lot of serial killers have antisocial personality disorder. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a book about this scientist that basically created a potion. I read it a long time ago, so if I butcher it, but most people know what Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is. It's like the same person, but he transforms into somebody else, right? So you get one guy that's really sweet, and then you have this guy that's a monster. So if you see that, red flag. Severe mood swings, relationship red flag. Any type of explosive anger, if they throw things, smash furniture, throw things against the wall, if they're throwing things right next to you, they're trying to intimidate you into submission. It's almost like, how can I intimidate this person without actually hitting them? But the thing is, the violence tends to escalate. So it could be a plate today, and tomorrow it could be your face. If they have a past history of physical violence. So if, for example, they tell you that their wife called the cops on them because he, accidentally was trying to stop her, but she fell. Those are the kinds of stories they tell, like, oh, I mean, I didn't actually hurt her. I didn't touch her. She was coming at me. I just put my arms out and she fell backward. Those are the stories that you need to be careful of, because what actually happened was probably he did shove her or push her or punch her even, but is not going to admit to that, because remember, they won't ever admit to the fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Like the fact that I hit you is your fault. Like that's how the abuser thinks. Like it's your fault that I hit you because dinner was late, right? Of course, that's uncalled for. I'm giving you examples of how their mind works. If they outright start to give you threats of violence, like I'll kill you, I'll break your neck, if you ever leave, I'll kill you, relationship red flags, right? I'm going to put links in the description below. If you feel like you're in an abusive relationship, there's a toll-free hotline, 1-800-323-HOPE, which is 4673. There's the hotline.org. I'm putting a website that talks about the warning signs of an abusive relationship. It's a lot easier if you're just starting in the relationship, right? Once you're in it, that's just why I made this video, so that you can recognize the signs early and get out. Because if you're now living with this person or you have kids, that's a whole other ballgame. In the state of Florida, there's something called Harbor House of Central Florida, and they help victims of domestic violence. Again, because I've worked in psych, we had someone come and give us this whole presentation on Harbor House, and they help you come up with like an escape plan. What I want to warn you about is if you're in an abusive relationship where someone is physically violent to you, unfortunately, the most dangerous time for you is when you're leaving, right? That's where a lot of the unfortunate like homicides take place. So if you're thinking about leaving, you want to cover up your tracks as much as possible. You need to erase your search history, clear your phone history, do your due diligence. If you're in Florida, you can contact Harbor House. I don't know if they work outside of Florida, but they will create an escape plan. They don't list where they have their sites so that you can stay. They have daycare on site. If you go to a doctor's appointment, you can request to be seen alone, or when you go to the bathroom, you could write a note, slip it to the provider. There are ways. If you're in a very serious situation, you're just going to have to be innovative, unfortunately. But I do want to, if it's at that point, please be careful, because it is a very dangerous situation. But if you're just dating this person, then you still have time to get out without all of these serious ramifications that can happen once you're isolated in this household with this person, potentially with kids, And another thing is sometimes they'll threaten your children because they know that you will stay with them because of your children. So this is a very somber topic to talk about, but I felt like it was necessary. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value, or if you have any other resources, please drop them below. And until next time.